Sego Sawaguego, good morning, everyone, on this bright and sunny day, and nice to see the summer coming back gradually. We will have a motion now to adopt the agenda. So the first item of business for the council meeting of June the 2nd, the regular council meeting, will be to review and adopt the agenda. We will then have the minutes of May the 21st, 2025. There'll be an opportunity to discuss any business arising from those minutes. The chief and council's upcoming meetings that have not already been approved will be identified. And approved administration as the TMC meetings for July and August 2025 will be announced. Community infrastructure, the Bay of Quinte Remedial Action Plan, fish consumption, roads department, new positions, community business registration renewal for Conger Plumbing, business registration renewal for D&D Getaway, business registration renewal for Deb's Gas Bar and Restaurant, business registration renewal for Mr. Electrics, business registration for FEC Services, business registration for Quinte Bay Contract Flooring. There are some land transfers. The Industrial Park Sales Agreement to Terry Miracle. Community Wellbeing, Highland Shores Board Rep. Well, the tractor for Quinte Mohawk School will be on the agenda. Finance, Miller Thompson invoices, JFK Law invoices, Derek Wong invoices. Corda Agreement for Housing, Ohaze Park Lot Reconstruction, Tender Ready Housing Development. Upcoming meetings, June the 3rd, 4th, 25th is the LPC AGA. June the 10th to the 12th, 2025 is the AI AGA. June the 16th is the Tyendinaga Mohawk Local Council meeting. June the 16th is the Tyendinaga regular council meeting. June the 17th to the 19th is the Chiefs of Ontario Annual General Assembly at Hiawatha. June the 25th is the Tyendinaga Mohawk Council business. And we have the AGA June the 10th to the 12th. Is there any other items for the agenda? If not, can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll motion.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Seeing none, the motion's carried. Shelley?
I've heard from Linda she's not feeling well, but she will be attending today.
Okay, we noted. Councillor Linda Lewin is not well and won't be attending the council today. We'll have the minutes of May the 21st, 2025. The Tyendinaga Mohawk Council minutes, May the 21st, 2025. A meeting of the Tyendinaga Mohawk Council was held Wednesday, May the 21st at 9:30 a.m. in the council chambers. I was present. Oguari, Chris Brandt, Curtis Brandt, Aaron Ferranti, Linda Lewin, and Chris Miracle were present. Staff present were Angela Miracle, the acting CEO, joined by teams. Shelley Bowden, Executive Administrative Assistant, was the recording secretary to the council. Charles Miracle, my assistant, was present also. Motion 1 was moved by Oguari and seconded by Aaron to adopt the agenda. The motion was carried. Motion 2 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Linda that the council minutes of May the 7th be approved. The motion was carried. Motion 3 was moved by Chris Brandt and seconded by Curtis that it be it resolved that we, the council, the Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory number 38, representing the Mohawks, the Bay of Quinte, the First Nation, at a duly convened meeting of the council held May 21st, 2025, and having reviewed the sketch provided by Hydro One Networks, attached here to a Schedule A in respect of the new new or modified connection at 265 York Road to the electricity distribution system. Approve the proposed location of the poles, anchors, and conductors and equipment identified in the sketch on the Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory number 38. Council Resolution 2526-009 was approved and signed. Motion was carried. Motion 4 was moved by Chris Brandt, seconded by Curtis, that be it resolved that we, the Council, Mohawks, the Bay of Quinte Territory number 38, representing the Mohawks, the Bay of Quinte, the First Nation, at a duly convened meeting of the Council held on May the 21st, 2025, and having reviewed the sketch provided by Hydro One Networks, Inc., attached hereto as Schedule A, in respect of the new or modified connection at 1158 Ridge Road to the electricity distribution system, approve the proposed position of location of poles, anchors, conductors, and equipment identified in the sketch on the Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory. MCR 252610 was carried and signed. Motion 5 was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Chris Brandt to approve the following transfers from Scott Laverne Miracle and Suzanne Joyce Miracle Dye to Brenna Casey Sheridan Miracle, Ian James Miracle, Mallory Lynn Miracle, Scott Laverne Miracle, and Suzanne Joyce Miracle Dye as joint tenants. Right of way over lot 27J1, remainder, concession 2, Candaland Survey Record number 104951, lot 27M-4, concession 2, Candaland Survey Record 74977, lot 27M-3, concession 2, revised statute of Ontario 35, lot 27M-5, concession 2, revised statute of Ontario 35, lot 28K- concession 2, RSO 8, lot 28G-3, concession 2, number Candaland Survey Record 91959, lot 27J-1, save and accept lots 27J-1-1 and 27J-1-2, concession 2, as shown on our Ontario Plan number Candaland Survey Record 76648. From Timothy Barnhart to Miles Orville Wesley Adam Green, lot 13-6, lot 13-7, the road, 13E-2, 13E-3, 13E-4, 13E-5, 13E-6, 13E-7, and 13E-8, concession 2, all shown on plan number Candaland Survey Record 113389. Then from Anne Barry Gray, Edward David James Gray, Erica Ellen Gray, and Darren Dalton Gray, Douglas Gray, to Erica Ellen Gray, lot 8D-4, concession 2, Candaland Survey Record 114022, from Melanie Ann Barry Gray, Edward David James Gray, Erica Ellen Elizabeth Gray, and Darren Dalton Douglas Gray, to Melanie Ann Barry Gray, lot 8D, concession 2, Candaland Survey Record 114022, from Ronald Kevin Brandt to Rennie Louise Brandt and Ronald Kevin Brandt, Mildred Clara Wynne Wager and Logan Thomas Wager, to Marina Jade Wager and Mildred Clara Wynne Wager as joint tenants, lot 19D, concession 2, Candaland Survey Record 113700, from Lisa Michelle Robinson to Julianne Marie Emmons, lot 13C-15-2, concession 2, revised statutes of Ontario 4633R, from Bonnie Joyce Brandt to Jill Irene Brandt and Bonnie Joyce Brandt as joint tenants, lot 29C-2 and 29C-3, concession 2, revised statutes of Ontario 4556R. The motion was carried. Motion 6 was moved by Chris Brandt and seconded by Aaron to approve the business registration for renewal for Better Blades, owner Ryan Baptiste, a capital R there on Ryan, spelling mistake, and Baptiste is spelled wrong. Baptiste. Those corrections are noted. Motion 7, moved by Chase Ogori Brandt and seconded by Linda to approve the business registration renewal for Oxuta Design and Fabrics, owner Darlene E. Miracle, and fabric should be a capital F. Name of business. Motion 8 was moved by Chris Brandt and seconded by Aaron Fronte to approve the business registration renewal for Tyendinaga Propane, owner Keith Miracle. Motion was carried. Motion 9 was moved by Curtis and seconded by Aaron to approve the business registration for Mohawk Steel and Trim, owner Chris M. Miracle. The motion was carried. Motion 10 was moved by Chris Brandt, seconded by Aaron to approve the business registration for Handling Hides, owner Courtney Storms. The motion was carried. Motion 11 was moved by Aaron Fronte and seconded by Guari to approve the business registration for Indigenous Business Management and Consulting, owner Sarah Road. The motion was carried. Motion 12 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Linda to defer the request to purchase a tractor for the Quinte Mohawk School. Council needs more time to review. The motion was carried. Motion 13 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Chris Brandt to approve to pay the Miller Thompson invoice 412-3350 in the amount of $7,575 for the long-term care home and 412-355 in the amount of $978.70 for corporate matters. The motion was carried. Motion 14 was moved by Aguari and seconded by Aaron to approve the signing of the Independent Electricity System Operator Indigenous Energy Support Program funding agreement for the Community Energy Champion to take various training courses and certificates in the amount of $24,368.05. The motion was carried. Motion 15 was moved by Ogari and seconded by Aaron to approve the signing of the Independent Electricity System Operator Indigenous Energy Support Program funding agreement to perform energy-related feasibility studies in the amount of $36,800. The motion was carried. Motion 16 was moved by Ogari and seconded by Aaron to approve the signing of the Independent Electricity System Operator Indigenous Energy Support Program funding agreement to update the Community Energy Plan in the amount of $93,803. The motion was carried. Motion 17 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Linda to approve the naming of the MBQ Economic Development Corporation, the Tyendinaga Mohawk Economic Development Corporation. The motion was carried. Meetings confirmed outside of the territory. May the 27th was the Mohawk Council Community Meeting. June the 2nd was the Tyendinaga Mohawk Regular Council Meeting. June the 3rd to the 4th is the ALFDC AGA in Niagara Falls. Is it Niagara Falls or Charlie? The Niagara Falls. And June the 10th to the 12th is the AIAI General Meeting at Oneida First Nation. June the 16th is the Mohawk Local Business. June the 16th is the Regular Council Meeting. June the 17th to the 19th is the Chiefs of Ontario AGA at Hiawatha. June the 25th is the Local Business Meeting. Motion 18 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Curtis for this meeting go in private at 11:33 a.m. The motion was carried. These are the minutes that have been recorded. Are there any errors and corrections that have not already been announced? Chris? Chip? Aaron? Chris? Ogwari? Can I have a motion to accept and adopt the minutes as corrected?
I'll motion.
I'll
Aaron?
second, Chief.
Aaron and Curtis. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Chris? Curtis?
None.
Aaron?
No.
Chris? Ogwari? None. The record will show that there's no business arising from the minutes. Meetings outside of the territory. Chris, do you have any?
No.
Chip? Aaron? Chris?
In August, strategic planning, Woodland Cultural Center and Six Nations.
Okay, what date? What's the date?
I want to say 9th or 10th. I'll get the confirmed dates, Chief.
Okay, just put it on the next agenda then with the dates. Or we can have a motion that should be, we'll add it to this agenda then. Okay.
Chief, I forgot, we do have a meeting, June 26th, the LAPI meeting.
June 26th?
Yeah.
And what was that, Chip?
LAPI meeting.
Yes. I think we were already approved for that, are we not, Shelley?
I don't,
Okay, so who is going to go to the lobby? I'll be attending.
myself and Linda, Chief.
Just the three of us? Okay, thank you.
What time do you usually get back?
What time do we get?
I would really strongly
3:30, 4
request,
o'clock on the train.
I think I can go to that one.
I would request the council really give serious consideration to having the meeting in the afternoon, because I think there's some important business with the open LP and the sovereign wealth.
Me and Linda can't, so,
You can't?
No.
Okay,
so either you ask Kyle to change it or
so you can't go in the afternoon?
no.
Okay.
And they don't like having meetings in the afternoon. So,
Linda. Okay, who will move then? So Chris will go to the August Woodland Center. Are they sending through the minutes to the, I haven't seen any minutes from the Woodland Center in quite a while.
I can check with them, Chief.
Okay,
Everything's been Zoom.
but they do have motions to record their minutes. They should be,
Yeah, I'm over right now.
I'm sure they have a paper copy of the minutes, because I haven't seen anything either on emails or, and we do give money to them. We support the Woodland Center, the operations. Okay, motion to approve these meetings then?
I'll motion.
Chris Brandt, and is there a seconder?
I'll second, Chief.
Curtis, anyone opposed? Motion is carried. July, August and 2nd meeting dates, motion to approve those dates. So the regular council will be July the 9th and 23rd at 9:30. Local business, July 16th and 30th at 7 p.m. August 6th and 20th will be the regular council, and local business will be 13th and 27th of August. Motion to approve. Ogori,
Do you know Chief when the AFN meeting is?
I don't, well, and know the date. It's, let me see, I have it on my phone here.
I just thought about that. I was pretty sure it's in July, is it not? So local business would be impacted if anyone's going. But you said you're gonna do that by Zoom, right?
No, I think I'm gonna go because we can't rely on our computer system. If it rains, it doesn't work right. Well, it's my decision to decide whether to go or not. Yeah. Okay. And you don't have the opportunity to network with other chiefs over Zoom calls.
Chief, the dates for my meeting are August 13th and 14th.
Okay, we'll note that then. August 14th, 13th and
13th
14th.
and 14th.
Because I've noted, Angela, just every time that I have a meeting, a Zoom call, our system isn't working properly. And it's cutting in and out, and it's very disruptive.
I've never had a problem.
Well, I have. And every time it rains, you got to put the phone right up next to the window before you can even use your cell phone.
No, never had a problem. So that means that the one will be, do we just proceed with local business?
Well, I think council can just appoint a chair for that meeting. There's no need to, there may not be anybody, you don't know yet.
No, we don't, for sure.
So I guess will we have time before the next meeting to identify? We should, before it's in July, if there's any local business.
Well, we won't know until the week beforehand.
Yeah. Okay, the next item,
Let it go. You didn't get your motion, I don't think.
I'll motion.
I was moved by Aguirre and seconded by Aaron.
Second. Yep.
Sorry.
Okay, anybody opposed? No. Seeing none, motion's carried. Mackenzie Brandt, Megan Murphy. Can we get this straight now?
Flyers will do that.
Mm,
Okay, then if they're not paying any expenses, I'll do it by Zoom, and the first time it cuts, I'll just shut it off and forget about it, okay?
I don't normally pay anyways.
I just, when we have to have Bryce to come up to get it going again, it becomes very disruptive to the
No, I
meeting.
meant AFN normally doesn't cover the expenses for you to travel. to
No,
the
they have
meetings.
never covered the expense of the Chiefs of Ontario. Cover some of the expenses sometimes of budget permitting.
So you need to be clear, are you gonna go? Because they need to make flight arrangements and stuff like that.
I've tried Zoom calls before and it has, our system has conked out.
If you wanna go, chief, that's fine. We just need to know.
If we
so
had a
can make
reliable
arrangements.
system, I'd say yes, but I just can't depend on it working.
Okay,
Especially
so
when
you
there's a
want them to
storm.
book you to flight then?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. I just don't want it to be last minute and then we can't get you there.
And then sometimes you can't get your unmute thing on to let you speak. It just becomes a chaotic. In 2021, MBQ obtained XCG to comment on the Bay of Quinte Remedial Action Plan Fish Consumption Working Group, Initial Assessment Report, and BUI 1 Restriction on Fish and Wildlife Consumption. FCWG was recommending delisting BUI 1, but hadn't consulted with MBQ. XCG provided comments for MBQ, which among other things identified a need for adjustment for the delisting criteria for assessing fish consumption advisories. We worked with the FCWG to revise the delisting criteria to reflect comments. We are seeking acceptance of FCWG's response attached, as well as acceptance of the new delisting criteria attached. It is the recommendation from Mackenzie and Megan it is our recommendation that the council choose option 2 to accept FCWG response from MBQ's comments on the original BU1 assessment report and changes to the BUI delisting criteria due to its positive impacts associated with our BUI 1 involvement. Does council accept this recommendation? If so, can I have a motion?
I'll motion.
I'll second, Chief.
Chris Brandt. Does all council understand what the recommendation is and the rationale for it? Is there anybody
Yeah.
who doesn't? Okay. Anyone opposed to the motion?
No.
None? Seeing none, the motion is carried.
This, just a question of, this, what they're talking about here with the with the consumption. They're basically talking more about, they're speaking more of the fish than they are the wildlife, right? So will this be posted for the members to be able to see also?
Yeah.
Will
Can
Megan
we
have that
Megan-
out?
Can we have Megan and come up when she's here?
Because if this is a study that's going on, I'd like to send the community to see, because we are a big fish consumption
Yeah.
community.
I believe it's published in the Guide to Eating Ontario Fish.
So they would have to actually go and look it up. So
Yeah.
we should, let our community know where they can find this information.
We used to have a condensed one-page notice about consumption of fish, about pregnant women, how any fish under 23 inches long not to eat them, how often, how many fish meals you should have in a week. There used to be information like that going out. So I don't know if there's anything like that that can be
Fish
published.
under 23 inch.
Under 23 inches.
That's the most of the fish that people actually eat. The ones over are the ones that people don't like
Yeah,
to eat.
but that's the ones that people are safe to eat, the ones that are 23 inches and under.
Okay, the safety, okay, yeah. Same thought.
So we'll just have them come up and just do a thumbnail sketch of this, and we'll find out if there can be a one-pager going out and for the newsletter.
Charlie just went to go get.
And that's for the community to,
Because they're not going to read through this whole report.
no, that's
Report,
right.
so,
It's long.
hi Megan, come and have a seat. So Megan, we are dealing with the Bay of Quinte Fish Consumption Working Group, that report. And so there used to be, can you just give a thumbnail sketch of what the highlights of this recommendation?
Yes. Does anyone have it that I can just look at quickly?
Yeah, you want to take this?
Sure, Chris.
Here, I'll give you my copy, here.
Just refresh my mind.
So what it used to be, we used to have a one pager in our newsletter,
Okay.
and fish under 23 inches were safe for consumption. So many, I think 3 meals a week,
Okay.
and pregnant women shouldn't be eating fish at all. And there were contaminant reports, there was mercury and some other things that were. I haven't seen anything like that in the newsletter in quite a while. Do they still do a one pager, like that's sort of in lay terms?
I'm not familiar with a one pager from the group, from the BQ Wrap in recent history, but they still produce the Guide to Eating Ontario Fish, so
Okay.
anyone has access to that online. And similarly, you'll see what contaminants are affecting the fish that you might eat. And so for us, walleye are obviously of probably highest importance. And I think the numbers are relatively similar to what you just mentioned, Chief. It's at, I think it's 22 inches. Right now, it's 8 meals per month. And, they kind of call
Okay.
that unrestricted.
And so what are the contaminants of concern that are still in the fish?
For walleye, the drivers are mercury and PCBs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it possible to put like a one-page lay term, layman's just in our newsletter? And the reason we can't just ask people to search it on the websites, because most people are not computer literate, quite a few are not.
Yeah.
And some people don't have computers at all.
Yeah.
And older people tend to like to read a paper copy.
Yep, absolutely. I can
So
work
if we
on
can
that.
do that, that would be great.
Yep, absolutely. I through all of this work, we're hoping to do more community outreach and education as we reach sort of the ending of the fish consumption work. So after sort of today's topic gets approved or not and move forward, the BQ Wrap Council, Restoration Council will also be looking at the same topics tomorrow and getting their buy-in, the Restoration Council's
Okay,
buy-in.
and the XCG recommendations that were not in the report, what were they?
So there's quite a few. I think in total there was about 11 major comments from XCG back in 2021. And we've worked with the BQ Wrap and the Fish Consumption Working Group to address those comments in the wording. So the main thing is within the report and the criteria that they've written, there's wording that doesn't look at our sustenance eating, so to speak.
Okay, now some of the fish are bottom feeders
Yep,
and some are not. Is that correct?
yep.
So is it the bottom feeders that would be the most contaminated with mercury and PCBs, or
Not necessarily. They obviously will be accumulating some from eating fish directly from the sediment. These contaminants of concern mostly come from the sediment, but what's happening is called bioaccumulation. So a top
I see.
predatory fish is going to have probably the most, really, because they're eating all these small fish that have accumulated the metals and the other things.
okay?
So as they eat, the more they eat, they're also accumulating everything from what they've eaten.
So the Bay of Quinte RAP program cleaned up the water a lot.
Yeah.
And so have the contaminant levels in the fish been declining, or has it been constant?
They've been declining in some. This will be all part of the assessment that we're going to work towards for fish contaminants, for fish consumption. They've been declining, and to what level I'm not sure, but we'll be assessing that soon in a new assessment
Okay.
report.
And then just for the community under its understanding, who determines what the safe levels of consumption are?
That's kind of under debate through the fish consumption working group right now. We've advocated for changing terminology on wording fishes of interest.
But is there
because-
a health authority that does that?
Well, yeah, so it's based, MECP does the contaminant testing, and then they base it on all the science and research on, you know, what's healthy, what's been considered healthy through Health Canada and other people that outline health.
And is there any
parameters.
species that people should not eat because of higher contamination levels?
I'm not sure off the top of
Okay.
my head. Again, you can find all the information in the guide for anything that you might harvest. What we've been trying to do as well is outline species that we would like to harvest that we maybe can't right now, like eel, and that's going to be included in the guide going forward. So for pretty much any fish that you might want to consume, you can go to the guide and see at what
Okay.
level you should consume it. We're just advocating for including our sustenance type eating. So right now, the guide says, say you can't eat more than 8 walleye in a month. Our people may be eating more than 8
Okay.
walleye meals in a month.
And so what are the health consequences of that?
Again, it's related to this bioaccumulation, right? You're taking on the contaminants that are in the fish, and the more you do, there are different health implications. There can be cancer-causing agents. There can be, you know, different issues. I don't know
Okay.
all of them offhand, but
Then Councillor Chris Brandt asked a question about, is this specifically about more about fish than wildlife, or is it both? It's both. What is the
It's all
biggest
fish.
concern?
it's actually all fish. They've acknowledged, and they will continue to acknowledge in the reporting, that wildlife was never a concern
Okay.
right from the beginning. So they had to title it that based on every other area of concern.
But they should make it clear in the report it's not about wildlife, okay?
Yes, I've actually commented that, so we're hoping that they'll make sure of that in the final reporting.
Okay, so then can you have, or yourself, or the authorities put out some kind of notice about the consumption of fish and what's safe to eat, and size and number of meals and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Just, and maybe pregnant women shouldn't
Yeah,
consume
that's
fish.
all on the fish consumption advisory for Eating Ontario Fish. You can literally click on the area that you're harvesting a fish from, and it will tell you all of the information, the size that you can eat for all of the fish that you can harvest in that
Yeah.
area,
But just put something in
and
the
who's
newsletter
sensitive.
in case people don't have a computer, okay?
Yep, absolutely, we can do that. Like I said, ultimately, we'll be working towards a lot more education on all of this, because we've done a lot of work in the last couple of years with the group.
And the other question from the councillor was, is there going to be like a community meeting about this, or for sharing information, those, or some kind of open house or something like that?
Yep, we hope to have a community meeting in the fall to
Okay,
address everything that's been worked on and changed, and to address how our sustenance fishing is being considered now.
okay. Does that answer your questions, Chris? Does any of the other council members have any questions or concerns? Seeing none, thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
And so it's been moved by Aaron and seconded by Chris to approve the recommendation. Is there anyone opposed? Is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried.
Thanks, man.
The next item of business is the roads position. Angela, could we see if they could fix these things so they stay in one position that it keeps sagging down these speakers? You got to be adjusting it while you're conducting the meeting. Well, I'll bring a pair of pliers then.
Oh, I've got some in the truck.
Okay. Request for consideration to create a new lead hand heavy equipment operator position, one new heavy equipment operator position, and one part-time custodian position, with the roads department restructuring required due to increased workload and the addition of a new roads. Approved to create a new lead hand heavy equipment operator position and one heavy equipment operator position and custodian. Does council approve this motion?
Yep, I'll motion.
Chief, they had some questions on it from before, that they have a casual that's on one, but, I didn't know if that had to, did that have to go out for,
All new positions get
D-
posted.
that's what I thought, okay. I'm just saying,
Okay.
I asked just to say, making sure it was fair.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the
I'm good.
positions will be posted then. So it's been moved by Aaron to approve the
I'll
recommendation.
second it, Chief.
Curtis, is it anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion's carried. Business registration renewal for George Conger Plumbing. It's a plumbing contractor. Environmental inspection has been completed. Insurance is on file. Does council approve?
Mike?
April.
April, sorry.
April Conger. Sorry,
I'll motion, chief.
I'll second it, Chief.
I better put my glasses on here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, who's George?
I don't know, George.
So who moved?
Christie.
Chris Brandt and who? Curtis?
I second it, Chief.
The next item is business registration renewal for D&D's Getaway. Dan Whalen, Dolores Miracle. It's a campground. Environment and inspections have been completed. Does council approve?
I'll motion, chief.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second, chief.
Chris Miracle. Anyone opposed? Seeing and hearing none, the motion is carried. The next item is the business registration renewal for Deb's Gas Bar and Restaurant. Deborah A. Miracle is the owner. Environment, fire inspections completed, insurance is on file. Does council approve?
I'll motion, Chief.
Curtis, is there a seconder?
I'll second, chief.
Chris Miracle? Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. The business registration for Mr. Electrics, William Gardner is the owner. Electrical contractor, environmental and fire inspections have been completed, insurance is on file. Does council approve?
I'll motion.
Aaron Nogwari. Is anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. New business registration, FEC services, John Miracle, construction contracting services, residential and commercial, work done on site, environmental and fire not required, insurance is on file. Does council approve?
I'll motion.
Aaron,
I'll second, Chief.
Chris Brandt. The motion is carried. New business registration request, Quiddy Bay Contract Flooring, Jesse Perron is the owner, flooring contractor, environmental and fire inspections completed, insurance is on file.
I'll motion, Chief.
Chris Brandt
I'll second, Chief.
and Aaron.
Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
Curtis, pardon me. One second. 25.
Your voice has changed.
Dropped a couple.
I'm still getting adjusted to hearing aids. So if I'm talking too loudly, just let me know. Land transfers. Shown on the attached Word document dated June the 2nd. And before we get into this, could we have maybe a 5-minute break? I just have to make a phone call.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Back in 5 minutes. So we are back in session again here at the Tyendinaga Mohawk Council. We've taken a 5-minute break. So the next item is number 14 on the agenda, 13, the land transfers. There's a land transfer of lot 29C-2 and 29C-3, concession 2, revised statutes of Ontario, 4556R from Bonnie Joyce Brandt to Jill Irene Brandt and Bonnie Joyce Brandt as joint tenants. The next transfer is a land transfer of lot 27F-3-1, concession 2, Candaland Survey Record 95891 from Linda Susan Miracle to Jason Floyd Miracle. There's a land transfer of lot 2-3, concession 2, Candaland Survey Record 113836 from Elvin Thomas Green to Haley Alexander Green. Next item, there's a land transfer of lot 2-4, concession 2, Candaland Survey Record 113836 from Elvin Thomas Green to Nash Grayson Green. There's a land transfer of lot 2-5, concession 2, Candaland Survey Record 113836 from Elvin Thomas Green to Benjamin Lloyd Green. There's a land transfer of the Access Road, concession A, Candaland Survey Record 67158, Access Road, concession A to Candaland Survey Record 67157 and lot 10F-8 Road, concession A, Candaland Survey Record 108427 from Jack Edward Miracle to Sean Michael Brandt. There's a land transfer of lot 27-11, concession A, Candaland Survey Record 113237 from Johanna Doreen Webb to Stella Victoria Darlene Webb, Holden Brian William Webb, and Johan Doreen Webb as joint tenants. There's a land transfer of lots 30G6-1, concession 2, revised statutes of Ontario 5834R, lot 30F 5-1, concession A, our revised statute of 2132, lot 30F7-1, concession 2, revised statute 5900R, lot 30A10, concession 2, revised statute of Ontario 626R, lot 30A-13, concession 2, Candaland Survey Record 1118339, lot 30A-15, concession 2, Candaland Survey Record 111339, lot 32A-4, concession A, Candaland Survey Record 74990 from Andrew Clifford Miracle to Zachariah Israel Zerubbabel Miracle and Andrew Clifford Miracle as joint tenants. Does council approve these transfers?
A motion.
Aguari, who will second it?
I will, Chief.
Chris Miracle. Is anyone opposed? Is anyone opposed?
No.
Seeing none, the motion is carried.
Oh, Laurie and Chris.
Well, she said she's sending it to you. She expects you to do it.
No, she's going to do.
Okay, then take it then. You don't need it? We'll get her to correct it. Get that letter out. Sign here. I'll sign these all after to not take up time. Council's time. So it was moved by Oguari and seconded by Chris Miracle. The Industrial Park Sales Agreement. A sales agreement for Terry Allen Miracle to purchase 3 lots in the Industrial Park, Lot 5, 6, and 7, Concession 1, Candaland Survey Record 95029 for the purpose of commercial property storage. Once the agreement has been approved, Terry will come in and pay for the lots $175,000. Does council approve?
I'll motion, Chief.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Chris Brandt and seconded by Aaron. Is anyone opposed?
Negative, Chief.
Chris Miracle, negative. Do you want to state the reason why?
I believe it's a breach of our fiduciary responsibilities for one. Two, I believe there are process issues that Angela could probably speak to much better than myself.
Breach of, what's the fiduciary issue here?
We have a responsibility to get the most for the community assets that we can.
So you think it's still being sold too cheaply?
Yeah, council already agreed once that it was worth a lot more, twice as much minimum.
It been sold for less than what it's worth, okay. Now, the council did approve though what the lots were gonna be approved, sold for, so that motion has to, we have to conduct business in accordance with council motions. Okay, but your opposition is noted.
Thank you.
Here.
Oh, I see.
So you want-
Huh? Council's-
Okay. Just a point of clarification, so the agreement to purchase the land, if there's a motion already made by council to sell the lots for that price, is there any restriction on the number of lots that they can own? I don't recall any.
I'm not aware of any restriction on the number of lots. that
Yeah.
they can buy.
Maybe that should be something addressed too, like, as far as, what I talked about in the community meeting. Should there be a, like, for lands within that are within the boundaries of the territory, should there be a limit on the amount that anybody can ask per acre? You know, so that, you buy it because, somebody is,
Okay.
hard up for money and sell it for 10 times as much.
Okay, so there's an very old motion of council, I think that goes back into the 70s, that states a member can have up to 500 acres of land in their
Yeah,
name,
we know
and
about
more
that.
if they're farming it. There's two motions, I recall.
Well, is weed grow up's part of farming? It kind of is.
It's agriculture, I suppose it's considered
Yeah,
anything you can buy, grow and sell.
Anyway,
Oh, I wouldn't have an issue with like the amount of land people own, but it's when they own the land and lease it out to other people to farm it.
Now, one thing is not clear though, when the band buys land, like for example, in the Culverson tract, the lawyer has advised council, it's not a good policy to be published what you pay for it, because then you're jacking up the prices of what non-natives can sell the land for when there's other land the band wants to buy. And so it will prevent the band from getting the best price.
well, the band in council, I believe that, we can't, like, if council or MBQ is to sell some of the land to people that are looking at building, I don't think we should be we should be thinking of our community members and keeping the lands at a price that's not gonna hurt. What am I trying to say? Keeping the prices lower so that people can actually afford it, rather than looking to get money for the MBQ bank accounts. I think that we should be looking at it in a different direction. And for the lands that are being sold here, we should, and I don't know how, if it or if it can be done by limiting the price per acre that anybody can sell their land for.
That would be a legal question. I think you'd have to consult Laura, but I don't think that we can do that, Chris, because it's their property. And they,
But we-
if
but-
they can, if,
Does the band not still hold they hold the CP, but they don't own the land? They hold the CP.
the certificate of possession does not come from the council. It comes from the Minister of Indian Affairs. And the minister, the representatives of the department have said that the council cannot impose restrictions. And that would be
Okay, if we
considered a
can't do anything
restriction.
about the price that people can sell their
Conditions.
lands for, but we have to think of our own. If
So
we're
I think that's
selling-
why it's very critical in our discussions on land restoration that we think of the next generation, because we're getting the land back so that the next generation will have a place to build. No, if the community said, approved a policy of the council to sell it at a reduced price to encourage home ownership for younger families, that would have to put it into a plan that would go to maybe to a community discussion or vote, but there needs to be, most of the younger people are now complaining they cannot afford land on reserve.
Well, but I'm saying that if the ban, if we're putting up land for sale to those families that are going to be just starting out, I think we should not follow the footsteps of those community members that own the land and are asking 2 arms and 2 legs for. You know?
We've set the amount that we'll sell it for.
We have said it?
It's 25,000, I believe,
Oh,
per acre.
okay, so that's for industrial and housing?
No,
And residential?
That just applies to the industrial.
That was
part
it.
in
Yeah, I
general.
know that's industrial, but I'm thinking of residential.
But you have to look at what you paid for the land. It's because we paid some pretty high prices for land on the reserve too.
Chief, could we have
Okay.
this added to?
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs a
Community
a
members?
broader discussion. Okay, Gwari has to leave now, so it's now 10:59. So Gwari mentioned he had to leave at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for attending, Gwari.
Yeah, Chris might be.
Can we have this something we add to our next community meeting so we get some direction
Well,
from the community?
I think the council, they're going to want to know what your thoughts are, because what the community, I did ask for at the first meeting we had, they'd like to see a plan that they could discuss, so it's not just here and there and all over with no action items, no action on those
I
issues
don't
that are
think we need
discussed.
No,
to
you're
go
talking
and
about
be
something different.
paying any money for somebody to make a plan. Let's
No.
just have a meeting like Chris had stated. I think maybe our next community meeting is strictly about the Culbertson, like he had mentioned, and that we address, and we could address some of this kind of talk issues about lands and,
So-
and that's what the Culbertson is, about lands.
The issues are, there was a survey done, what came from the community, and the people that did respond was, some said keep for agriculture, housing development, and maybe a commercial development. And so one member said, well, instead of just having a discussion that just wanders all over the place, why don't the council bring forth a plan that could be discussed with the community?
Well, we're talking 2 different issues now, Chief. One, I suggest.
Then there was also the
I
issue of
suggest
the
a meeting
adequacy of
on
the survey.
Culbertson lands only, but now this is a different issue of MBQ or TMC buying land on behalf of the community. I'd like to know from the community their input, like, should we pay any price? Or should we pay, some people might say, you know what, it's important, we don't care what the cost is, get the land back. And if that's, the majority say that, then fine. But some of us are like, well, it's not worth any price. So I'd like some community input on that, Chief.
Well, the other issue, some get it and others can't because it's not sustainable, then that might create a problem too down the road.
I would just like some community input on, we gotta have this piece of land and we're gonna spend 5 million. Well, this one over here, we're not so sure, like,
Okay.
where's that coming from, that process?
Back to the agenda.
Anyway, we need to put that on a future agenda for under discussion. I don't think we're ready to make decisions on the spot today. Okay, so the next item is the Highland Shores appoint, just to confirm, Susan Barberstock will be the representative for Highland Shores Board of Directors for June, from June 2025 to June 2027. Is there a motion to approve?
I motion that, Chief.
Chris Brandt
I'll second.
and Aaron. Anyone opposed? Seeing none. Motion is carried. The QMS tractor. The council to review the agenda package. So Andrew, do you want to present this, please? I think you and Marie have had discussions on this. So anyway, the tractor is 20 years old, and I guess they're having hard time getting parts for it.
Where's the funding come for this?
Sorry?
Do they have funding for this, or
Yes.
Yeah.
does it come from?
Yeah,
There's lots of money in the tractor account.
They pay a certain amount every year, and it sits in the account to actually address situations.
Nice.
where
Isn't
they
there
need
over
to
200,000 in
review.
that tractor account?
There's money in there, yeah.
Nice.
What is it you need to know? I mean, it
So the
was- This
recommendation,
was a package that was handed to you, and I said it needs to follow the proper process. It needed to have a couple quotes, because there was only one at the time. I think it was just a John Deere. So, sent it back to the manager or the supervisor and said to get additional quotes. And what came back was something a lot larger than the John Deere that was initially presented. I'm talking into the mic. Yep, sorry, I forgot where I was.
about buying the John Deere tractor.
It wasn't comparable. Yeah, the one that they got back was significantly bigger. What more?
I guess-
It was bigger, chief, it weighed more.
Yeah. And
there
can it
was
fit into the
certain-
garage?
There was certainly, yeah, that too. There was certainly a whole bunch of different aspects of it that would not be viable for what they've got to do in there. And I had a conversation with the salesman that had, when they were approached about it, he said, I just give them what they asked for. I said, well, you didn't know what they were asking for.
So they currently had a 33 horsepower existing lawnmower tractor, and now they're going to buy a 40 horsepower Kubota with attachments.
Meanwhile, they were asking for a 65.
They
Is
were
that the
asking
one that
for-
was
they
over
were-
$100,000?
Chief, they were asking for a farm tractor, which is not comparable whatsoever. A farm tractor.
Okay, so does this recommendation then take care of everything that they need to do at the school, cutting grass and maintaining that
This does,
wetland?
this one here does, chief. And so the one that we had, that Shell had uploaded for Sandy, now Sandy was off. And she said, I had a conversation with her last week. She said, I'll take your recommendation. She says, and you know better than I. She said, what would do their job? I said, this one right here. It's in between of what they asked for. It's cheaper.
I'm looking at why they need to have so many implements for the tractor.
That's not all of them.
But that's a lot that's written on here, and if that's not all of them, why do they need so many things like obviously a snow blower is fine, but with a 60-inch bucket, a blade, just things like like a hydraulic dump trailer, a 3-point hitch spreader
That's a
with
lot.
lid, like,
They've got all their stuff that was on there.
Yep.
So
I'm just looking at why they need to, like, are they opening up their own farming center with that many things, or?
Under QMS tractor, that was one of the questions that was asked that I put back to them, and they actually identified what it was going to be used for.
So the recommendations, Chief, that we had come up with, that I had come up with Sandy, she says we would go with the 40, okay? But here's all the stuff that was included in it, and it showed the price of what they would do to take the other one on a trade-in,
Okay.
which they give you more,
Okay, and who did you speak with at the school?
Sandy.
Sandy,
the
No,
director.
no, Sandy's
No,
the
the
director of
director.
education.
okay.
Anyway, sorry. But anyways, to go up to this one. Now that left out this tiller that I couldn't get a good answer back on the questions on. They couldn't tell me. And the other one was this light duty grapple claw. Now I was told that it was to pick up sticks. You can't pick up anything like this. It's got to be something like this.
Okay,
Now, it's just those two pieces, I suggest not right at the moment because there's no really,
It's not warranted.
no,
It's not warranted. Like, they don't need it. Get off the tractor and pick it up. You know, let's,
That's what-
where's our man work on?
that's what we're trying to
We
say.
want a tractor to do everything.
So you see in there that one was this, which was the metal one.
I'm looking at
We're,
prices.
we're kind of, this is what they need,
okay.
okay? Not something, a 7 foot more to pull behind a big farm
So
tractor.
is council then
So,
agreeable to buy?
I'm just looking at prices, the difference of $128,000 for a Kubota versus $117,000 for a John Deere.
So the Kubota that they want though is 83
nope,
after
we don't
trade?
pay taxes.
Oh, so it'll be less than that.
73,900.
73, oh, perfect. There we go.
The option is that it goes from the other tractor and the cost to buy this Kubota that's recommended is
Yes.
73,900, correct?
Okay,
That's right.
so that's the recommendation is this one?
Less the other two options,
So then-
which was the tiller and the grapple.
So then we will get
Well,
a motion then to
more
approve
money,
to
yes.
buy the Kubota
Well, no, it's not right.
I'll motion.
for 73,900 to be paid from the tractor account.
That's my recommendation, chief. That's the one I stand behind, but
Is there a
I won't
motion?
stand behind the other one. There's no way.
Is there a motion then to buy the Kubota for 73,900? It'll be taken from the tractor
Yep, I
account.
motioned.
Aaron will second it.
Rating scraper.
I thought, you motioned.
Hmm?
Did you motion?
He said he would
I
support it. He
motioned.
didn't say he would move it. Aaron's moving
I
it.
just said my recommendation.
So, so are you seconding the motion, Curtis?
I can, chief.
Okay, to buy the Kubota for 73,900 from the tractor account. Is anybody opposed? Anybody opposed? Seeing none, the motion's carried.
That's the
That's the
price,
other
Brad.
two. That's the tiller and the grapple.
That's the tiller and the grapple.
That price that you see is at 73,000. That's without the taxes. The taxes we don't pay anyways, but it lists everything that they kind of ask for.
Okay,
So
So
great.
less.
I'm just trying to make it cheap so it's,
Okay, and
it's
just
not an
listen-
embarrassment.
okay,
to
then,
somebody.
if you could just give Shelley the item, the equipment that goes with that, just so she
She
can put
got
in the minutes. Okay, thank you.
Give it to her last week.
So the Miller Thompson invoice for corporate matters, $9,135, $9,135.75. Is there a motion to pay this invoice?
Motion.
Second, chief.
Is there anybody opposed? Anybody opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. JFK Law invoices. General matters, $3,326.50 and $3,382, and that's regarding alcohol sales on the territory. Is there a motion to pay these invoices?
Motion.
Aaron, is there a seconder?
Well, second, chief.
Chris Brandt. Derek Wong invoices. Economic Development Corporate Matters, $26,317, $3,500 for economic development.
All motion, chief.
I'll second.
The Corda Agreement. MBQ has been approved by the Canada-Ontario Rural Development Agreement for $23,220 to plant 126 sugar maples in the Bayshore Road Park in response to the 42 ash trees that were previously removed. Approve and sign the funding agreement for Corda Project 43302-25, planting 126 maples on Bayshore Road Park, Mohawk territory.
I'll move that, chief.
I'll
All
second.
motion.
There is a disease though that comes from rotting wood and mold, leaves that are molding. If they're left there and not cleaned up, I think it's called blastomycosis, but it has made some people on some of the northern communities very sick, and it's killed a few of them. So that has been part of our discussion with updates from the department, but it's not so much in southern Ontario, but there have been instances. So that's why we'd like to try to get the leaves gathered up in the springtime to prevent anything like that from happening. And I see there's a lot of rotting wood over by the bridge on the airport road. We should ask the fire department if they can burn all that wood off because of that issue.
We've talked about that before, and I feel that it should be burnt off under the supervision of the fire department.
Yep.
And because that whole area is just slate rock, so basically the only thing they'd have to really take care of is the ambers that are going up. But they're the fire department, they can control it.
Where's that location, chief?
It's by the bridge at the airport. There we own that land. And so they've been dumping a lot of excess wood, and I see by the landfill site building there's a lot of wood being dumped in there that should all be taken over there and all burnt
Or
by the landfill building on Airport
near
Road.
the landfill? Okay.
No, where Kylie works. There's a building there.
Waste transfer
The
station.
waste
Waste transfer station. There's a lot of rotting wood piled up there too. They should take it to one site. Some of it's being dumped east of the bridge, and some of it's being dumped west of the bridge by the waste pickup building. Okay, the next item is the Ohaze parking lot reconstruction contract award. MBQ tendered the construction of the Ohaze parking lot with the following results. Scott Trudeau Construction, $180,802.93. Build all contracts, $193,743. Earth Creek Ontario Inc., $221,440. K. Mulrooney Trucking Limited, $231,509. Silkstone Group, $252,177.25 in, this is Draycup Inc., $253,361. So the recommendation is to approve the contract to build all contractors for a total of $193,743.
No, that's not it. That's not it.
Pardon me?
The recommendation is to approve Scott Trudeau construction.
Trudeau, yeah.
Well, mine says build all contractors here. I got the wrong paper?
Yeah, we must.
There's option 1 and option 2.
How did this happen? Can we get the right docket here so we can notate it then?
What do you got?
You have it, but mine is different than yours. Yours says, yours says.
It says
Scott
to
Trudeau?
approve to award the contract to Scott Trudeau Construction for a total amount of $180,000, $802.93,
Oh, there's
and
what's on-
approve the total project budget of $223,297.
There's what's on my docket. So can we bring Tom in because there's a discrepancy here with what I've got in the council binder and what's on the screen for the council?
I think Shelley just went to print off on the agenda sheet for you.
It seems to be in our contracting policy, though, there is something about if there is a certain percentage within reason of, and it's a First Nations contractor, the council in their discretion can give it to the First Nations, but I'd have to check the policy. That used to be in there, but I don't know if it still is or not.
10%.
Can we check the policy on that, Shelley, please? There's a statement about if it's a native contract, if even it's over, there's a certain percentage, I think, that's in the policy.
But I think they answered that question in the briefing note.
Mm-hmm. It's all listed out there.
And the recommendation is still Scott Trudeau.
Yeah. Option 1.
Hi, Tom. So we've got two quotes there built for the
Sorry? Yes.
Live.
Yeah,
the
live.
Ohahase parking lot reconstruction. There's the Scott Trudeau quote and the Bill Dahl quote. And so Bill Dahl is 193,743 and Scott Trudeau is 188,802.93. And on the my copy that went in the agenda, it was to award it to Bill Dahl, but
Your copy was
was that just an error then?
Yep.
Okay. So now, is it still in the policy yet that we have, if there's a First Nations contract and the bill's a certain percentage higher, the council in its discretion can hire the native contractor?
There's never been a policy for that.
I thought there was.
Not in my understanding. There was a motion and there's been previous practice.
But
from
there was
past
no
councils,
policy.
But there's
Just a
no-
motion?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So then I guess the low bid then, the recommendation is
Yep.
directed to the low bid, so we'll take this one out. And place
I
it
got a
on the
question,
agenda
that's one,
in
sir.
error. So Boyd.
I'll just read those down. Can I ask, I got a question for Tom.
Mhm.
Tom, on the old fire hall, means it had mold in that, and we talked like a long time, this like was before you, and like that, of getting rid of it and tearing it down.
Mhm.
Are we still kind of?
Yes. Yep. No, that'll be probably done this summer.
Okay. I just asked him, like, I was just inquiring.
No, just the hall. Yeah.
That's being taken down.
The cement block,
The hall is being taken down. The Kwanzaa hut where the
it's
trucks are
still,
being
it's still
set for
not too
keeping.
bad yet.
There's some repairs that will be needed.
Yeah,
But the
but-
intent is to try to
I
restore.
like the other one. Perfect. It's all I wanted to know, but.
Mhm.
Because we had looked in, so if that was gone, and if we took those trees back a little bit that we were gonna get Nick and them to take back, you could see farther down that road when you come up that roadway.
Good. Yeah.
It would be so much better for people trying to creep out there.
Mhm.
There was just a few trees and they were gonna take them out.
Okay.
Because they've overgrown, they went like this.
Mm-hmm.
And if we took them back to the fence line where they're supposed to be, you could almost see down to the sprinkler park there.
Okay.
That
So
would
then,
help.
is there a motion then to award the
I
contract?
just had that question.
I'll motion, Chief.
I'll second, Chief.
It's been moved by Chris Brandt and seconded by Curtis to award the Ohaze parking lot reconstruction to the lowest bid, Scott Trudeau Contract Construction, $180,802.93. Is anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried.
Thank you.
That's easy.
Tender ready housing development.
Shall I?
Shelley?
So the board would defer this one until our next meeting, so he's ready to speak on it.
Okay.
I will talk.
Is there any concern with that, Tom?
No.
Okay.
Which one are you talking about, Chief?
We are on item 22. The tender ready housing development.
Wanted to defer that one?
So the,
So one that requested it be on it.
it was two,
Okay.
just so you know what it was.
Oh, yeah, I
It's-
read it, Chief.
It's MBQ is running out of the centralized building lots for construction of community rentals. MBQ is tender ready for the Huron Brant Housing Development Phase 3, Sadie's Housing Development Phase 2, approved $9,297,150. No, to approve $9,297,150 for Sadie's Lane Housing Development. Start in fiscal year 25, 26, and $7,672,560. $7,672,560 for Huron Brent Housing Development Phase 3 to start in 26, 27. So it's been requested by Aguari to defer this. Now, these are some of the things we are lobbying the department on at our next lobby session for get some capital money to get this infrastructure going.
And there's applications in already too, isn't there? Yeah.
Yep.
It doesn't frustrate anything to defer it. I'll motion to defer.
I'll second that, Chief, then.
So it's deferred at the request of Aguari
That was it.
to next meeting.
Thanks,
How
Tommy.
many houses going in there in that Huron Brant?
Here on Brant would be 123 units.
123 units, perfect. And Sadie's?
58, I believe.
58.
How many were
That's
going on
nice.
Sadie's?
That's good.
Pardon?
How many for Sadie's?
58, I believe.
58.
Okay. Now, one thing, the department has verbally committed to $6 million to replace that lagoon system because it's
Yes,
at life expectancy and it's saturated now.
Perfect.
So it's failing. Pardon me?
6 million.
6 million.
$6,040,000.
But that's only by this.
That's part of our lobby.
We got it, like, it's only verbal.
You
But
put
they,
in
they,
that
they
in
said
the
they would find the
application
money
anyway.
to do it.
I put it in for the application and it's
And-
included in that price as well.
Nice.
And with that sign at the
But they'll
school,
find it. They'll find it.
Should.
with the sign at the school, it should say Quinny Mohawk Federal School. It's very important in our correspondence. We keep reminding the department it's a federal school because they're trying to shift a lot of the capital responsibility onto the First Nation in other places. And here, because it's a federal school, they have to maintain that because it's a ministerial responsibility as long as it's a federal school. And we've not signed any agreement yet to take it over. And there's some big ticket items too in the assessment report, and I would like at some point in time for the council to sit down with the First Nations Engineering and the other consultant to review that report and know what needs to be done at Quinny Mohawk School, because really the bottom line is they're going to recommend that we need a new school. So that report has been completed. And I'm in the middle of the review, but it's quite an extensive report. We have 337 students
Tom.
and it's
Thanks, Tom.
designed for 264. There's a number of issues that are not the guidelines. The tender ready, the housing development deferred. Seasonal Director of Finance, this is not on the agenda, these are add-ons, are they? Okay, I just see them in the package today, so we'll have to have a number 23 added. Cecil is the amendment 100 oblique 001101 for 25-26 current fiscal year. Please request to acknowledge and approve the amendments forwarded to ISC for additional program funding for fiscal year 25-26. Amendment number 100 accreditation services $13,083. Amendment 101 Q26F First Nations Inuit Summer Work Experience $41,800. Amendment number 101 Q26G FNES Inuit Skill Link Program $90,469.20. So motion to approve amendments 100 and 101.
100, 101, and well, they're both
One of those.
Q26F and Q26G.
Mhm.
All motion.
Aaron and Curtis.
Yeah, I'll second too.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none.
I know you just came in, and don't forget, you can't just sign off on them by email anymore. We have to have a signature.
Yeah, they need wet signature, so I replied by electronic signature to not delay any funding.
Two places to sign.
Okay, review. So the next item of business is to go in camera.
Oh, there's another
There's another-
add-on, Salmon
there?
River Colburn Street Servicing. Is that in private or is
Road and
that?
water project.
The road and water.
You don't even know what that charge is? Water servicing on Colburn Street.
It's on there.
We have that. Whether you need to check it out.
The capital projects. Oh, it's in the back here. Okay. Can we, again, Angela, remind staff to try to get these things on the agenda in a timely fashion so we get a chance to read it?
Yep.
I understand this came in late Friday. So Peter Brandt is put on capital projects coordinator, Salmon River Colburn Street Road and Water Project. Tender was sent out to 6 construction companies for the Salmon River Colburn Street Water Project with 3 bidding. The low bid and engineers recommended is Build All bid in the amount of $786,643. Overall project budget is $1,044,975, which includes the engineer design, CA and inspection, construction, contingency, and First Nations admin fee. The water main portion of $344,841.75 to come from the class action lawsuit money, and the road portion $701.33 to come from the ISC deferred revenue. That's the $12 million. It is recommended that TMC approve the overall budget of $1,044,975 as well as approve the build all tender bid $786,643 to complete the works outlined in the tender contract.
I'll move, Chief.
By Chris Brandt,
I'll second that, Chief.
It's Chris
Chris
Miracle.
Miracle,
Miracle
sorry,
and Chris
Chris Miracle and Chris Brandt. Moved by the 2 Chris's, Chris Miracle and Chris Brandt. Is anyone opposed?
Yep.
Yeah.
When does that project start? How many days? In 2 days.
Few days.
Oh. How many is few?
Well, the tender was extended a couple of days, so then they had to know by the 28th, but we couldn't do the 28th because nobody was sick. So I think today was kind of like the last day for everybody to still adhere to their schedules. That's what they.
So we don't know when they're gonna start.
So just add those two items as 23 and 24 to the agenda then.
Motion to go into private?
Moved by Aaron
Second.
and seconded by Curtis.
What is this add-on number 3?
It's private.
Okay, all right.
Are you signing up?
Okay, thank you very much. The council now, the regular part of the council has now been concluded, and there's been a motion to go in camera. Thank you very much for joining our meeting today.